Seville, 1519. At dawn, 5 ships lie silent in the harbor, their sails furled, their masts piercing the morning sky. The river glimmers in gold. On the docks, sailors strain at ropes and barrels. Crowds gather along the quay. Mothers clutch children. Merchants shout blessings. At the heart of it all stands Ferdinand Magellan, cloak brushing the rail, his gaze fixed westward, toward waters no European has ever crossed. The cathedral bells toll. A solemn benediction carries across the harbor, reminding all who watch that this voyage is not only ambition, but faith. The low deck, maps spread across a rough-hewn table, ink stains parchment as trembling quills trace uncertain lines into seas no map has yet dared to name. Drum beats echo along the pier. With each strike, ropes tighten, sails are raised, and the fleet begins to stir like a beast awakened. Tears stream down the faces of families at the water's edge. Children wave kerchiefs, unaware that some goodbyes will never see return. The ocean calls. From the fortress, cannon thunder in salute. Smoke rolls across the river as the flagship leads its companions downstream. On the quay, a priest lifts the cross. Holy water scatters into the wind, blessing men who vanish toward destiny.
Magellan's voyage was more than exploration. It was Spain's challenge to Portugal's power, a gamble that could change the world.
From balconies and windows, the city leans out to watch. Flowers fall like rain, carried away by the wake of history. Last letters are thrown into a waiting skiff. Words of love and farewell carried back to Seville. Below deck, the cooper hammers rings into barrels. Water, wine, and biscuit, the fragile lifeline of a crew against an endless sea. Upon the quarterdeck, Magellan lifts his hand. Flags rise, drums beat, sails fill with wind. The voyage begins, the greatest gamble in the history of the seas. Westward they sail into the endless Atlantic. Day after day, horizon unchanged. Sea and sky without mercy. The fleet presses on, 5 ships bound by hope and fear. Below, the cook stirs thin stew. Bowls pass hand to hand, hunger dulled but never satisfied. Evenings burn red across the horizon. Men lean on rails, whispering prayers as the sun sinks into black waters. At night, Magellan himself lifts his gaze skyward, tracing stars as if reading destiny itself. Yet restlessness brews. On the forecastle, dice rattle, whispers spread, rumors of doubt, the first shadow of rebellion. Storms descend, lightning splits the heavens, winds tear at sails. The fleet staggers on towering waves, men clinging for their lives. When dawn returns, the ocean is calmer, but faith has begun to fracture. Whispers turn to plans. In dark cabins, knives slam into tables, oaths sworn in shadow. The word mutiny hangs heavy in the air.
For sailors, the Atlantic was terrifying. Storms came without warning, and many believed they had sailed beyond the known world.
Under torchlight, steel is drawn. Officers rally to Magellan, blades flashing as rebellion erupts on deck. Shouts, curses, the clash of steel, chaos tearing the fleet apart. Magellan steps forward, calm, commanding.
His voice cuts through the storm of men. One by one, courage falters. A knife clatters to the deck, defiance collapsing into silence. Chains rattle as mutineers are bound. Punishment is swift, execution grim. The yardarms bear witness, and the crew learns Magellan's will is iron. Fear binds the men tighter than rope. They row, they haul, they obey, knowing no mercy waits for betrayal. In the sick bay, the wounded mutter, tended by weary hands. Magellan lays his palm across the map, eyes fixed westward. Neither storm nor treachery will turn him back. The fleet staggers through another gale, men fighting wind and sea with bleeding hands. An officer raises his voice, rallying the broken, while Magellan himself grips the helm, steering into the storm's heart. Together they endure, and as lightning fades, dawn breaks across the Atlantic once more. A fleet, battered but unbroken, sails on, its unity forged in fear, blood, and the unshakable will of its captain.
The mutiny showed the crew's breaking point. Magellan's harsh response ensured control, but it bound his men through fear as much as loyalty.
Land at last, the southern coast of a continent unknown. Jagged cliffs rise from the sea, battered by winds colder than any sailor has ever endured. Anchored in a sheltered bay, the men shiver beneath cloaks stiff with frost. Fire offers little warmth. Hunger gnaws deeper than the cold. In the holds, biscuit crumbles into dust. Meat crawls with rot. Rations counted, despair carved into every tally mark. On shore, they build camps of canvas and hope. Tents flap and splinter in the winter gales, while men crouch close to the flames, clinging to life. Then shadows appear across the plain. Giants wrapped in furs, the Patagonians. Taller than any European, their footsteps thunder in the sand. At the fire's edge, a great hand rises in peace. Magellan's men answer with beads, mirrors, trinkets of iron. Gifts exchanged, fear turns to wonder. Drums beat on the shore. Spaniards and Patagonians dance around the fire. Magellan records every detail. His quill scratches stories of men taller than myth, allies forged at the edge of the world. But winter is merciless. Storms tear through camp, frost creeps into flesh, fingers blacken, bodies weaken. The surgeon's hands tremble over frost-bitten limbs.
Patagonia's cold was brutal. Survival depended on fire and the help of natives, giving rise to tales of giants.
Snow falls heavy across the coast. Men stagger inland, seeking shelter in the white silence. A Patagonian guide kneels, pointing toward the mountains, showing the way to survival. Among the peaks, caves appear. Torches flicker against walls painted with ancient hands, red and black symbols whispering of lives long vanished. Inside, firelight warms frozen souls. Bread is broken, meat shared. Spaniards and natives bound by necessity. When the storm breaks, the sun returns like a blessing. Back at the harbor, sails patched, timbers repaired. The fleet prepares once more to tempt fate. Flags climb the mast, drums resound. From the jaws of winter, they sail again into waters that no map dares to name. At the edge of the world, the ocean narrows into a labyrinth of stone and storm. Here, mountains claw at the sky, and black cliffs fall straight into the sea. On the quarterdeck, Magellan holds steady. Lightning flashes across his face, compass trembling in his hand, yet his eyes never waver. The strait is treacherous. Rocks loom unseen in the fog. Sails tear under sleet. Men's hands bleed on frozen rope.
Finding the strait was Magellan's greatest triumph. He proved the ocean could be crossed, forever changing history.
Still, he commands forward. Descent rises again. In the dim cabin, officers argue, some demanding retreat, but Magellan's will is unbreakable. He will not turn back. Snow lashes the fleet. Ships groan, ropes snap, voices lifted in prayer. On the cliffs, fires flicker in the dark. Watchers unseen, reminders that they are trespassers in a haunted land.
What is that?
Longboats scout the narrows. Maps are drawn by trembling hands, ink running on damp parchment as the channel twists endlessly on. One ship nearly founders against the rocks. Men cry out, ropes strain to the breaking point, yet somehow wood holds. Through sleet and despair, Magellan grips the rail, whispering to himself a vow: to find the passage or die with it. And then the horizon breaks. The strait widens, mist lifts, and before them lies a new ocean, vast and shimmering beneath the sun. On deck, men collapse in relief. Upon the quarterdeck, Magellan raises his arm. Flags rise, drums resound. He names the sea Mar Pacifico. Beyond the strait, the horizon opens into infinity.
There's nothing left.
The fleet sails west into a sea no European has ever crossed. But the Pacific is not merciful. Barrels rot, bread crawls with worms. Hunger twists men into shadows of themselves, gnawing leather, swallowing dust for sustenance. Disease creeps silently. Scurvy blackens gums, weakens legs. The surgeon works in vain, his cabin echoing with coughs and cries. Under a pitiless sun, the ocean falls still. No wind, no relief, only silence broken by creaking timbers and the groans of the dying. Yet Magellan endures, gaunt, unyielding, his hands fixed upon the rail. His eyes search the horizon, never doubting land must lie beyond. Months stretched like years.
The Pacific crossing nearly destroyed them. Hunger and disease consumed the fleet, yet survival itself became a miracle.
Until at last, the lookout cries, "Land!" Green islands rise from the mist. Palms sway, waters glitter. On white beaches, men fall to their knees. They drink fresh water, devour fruit, laughter and tears mingling with the surf. Islanders approach with gifts of fish and coconuts. For a moment, the voyage feels blessed. Feasts blaze under palm trees. Magellan records it all. Quill scratching, eyes weary but resolute. This is no end, only a stepping stone to greater discovery. On the sands, carpenters patch hulls. Islanders share their ways, how to crack coconuts, gather fruit, survive in this ocean without end. On the beach, a wooden cross is raised, banners unfurled. Magellan dedicates new lands to crown and faith. Farewells are spoken, gifts exchanged, embraces held. Island drums echo as boats push back to sea. The fleet sails once more, 3 ships, patched and weary, leaving behind refuge and setting course for destiny. Ahead lie the Philippines, where triumph and tragedy will intertwine forever with Magellan's name. But for now, the Pacific carries them forward, westward into history.